the game is clear. He's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a wink and a cheer. He's the leader that everyone fears. Quickly, it's a real heater. Once my friend, he's a locker room leader. In the chaos, he's the center, turning us into believers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Sunday night. It is 7 p.m., and that means it is time for the Locker Room Breakdown. This is the Rasslin Recap, the show where we look back at all the goings-on from Raw and SmackDown, and we get ready for the coming week, Raw, SmackDown, as well as Saturday night's main event next Saturday night. Very, very intriguing week. Very, very hot shows coming off of Backlash and the development, the progression that we have seen. They have been building towards both Saturday night's main event and Clash in Italy at the end of the month. And then let's not forget, we are, right now we are 6 weeks away from the King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia. So, let's get started, shall we? Last week, we're going to start with Raw. Last week, we kicked the show off with a very, very small, subtle promo from the Vision, and we didn't even hear from Braun Breaker, who I believe thinks he has moved on from the Seth Rollins feud after his decisive victory at Backlash. But is that the case? We saw the Vision come out to start with the promo. Paul Heyman, of course, does the intros and claimed that Seth is not ready to combat Braun Breaker. Gave Austin Theory the mic, and Austin Theory, the man is pure gold on the mic. But before he could get a word out, we saw the Street Profits make their entrance, because we were getting ready for a 6-man tag that was the Vision versus the Street Profits and Joe Hendry. Montez coming out saying, hey, we came here because, we want the smoke and we came to whoop up on the Vision. And because Bianca was busy at home. And I believe Theory even said in his promo that Bianca can't pay the bills anymore. Logan Paul then cut a promo only to be interrupted by Joe Hendry singing his Can We Fire Logan Paul song on the announce desk. Yes, normally we would get the Joe Hendry concert. I love this subtle change, this subtle tease coming in from behind. Absolutely brilliant. And again, catching Logan Paul off guard, catching the Vision off guard, really setting the tone for what this 6-man tag team match is going to be and what will come out of it. However, Braun Breaker not saying anything in this promo leads me to believe that, yes, I think he believes he's done with Seth Rollins, but I think at the same time, maybe he's a little bit afraid of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. And Breaker needed to say something in this scenario. He could have just done his whoo, 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 but we didn't get that. Now, during the match, Breaker was absolutely incredible. And the Vision worked as a masterclass. They worked as a complete unit. They cut the ring in half. They controlled the match. They did everything imaginable. Yes, the Street Profits and Joe Hendry fought their way back into the fight. But again, the Vision took control. And it was at this point we saw Breakker lining up to do his run around the ring, following in the tradition of bronze. Yes, following in the tradition of bronze, I run around the ring and I knock people down. And yes, this is something he was doing when Braun Strowman was there. We've seen Bronson Reed do it. So yes, I'm going to call this the Braun tradition of I run around the ring and I knock people down. But at this point, he got caught with a super kick from Seth freaking Rollins, the visionary, the revolutionary, the man who may be trying to do work for the missionary. This allowed the Street Profits, and more specifically Montez Ford, to sneak in, pick up the pinfall over Theory, which now gives the Street Profits a pinfall victory over your tag team champions. In the ring afterwards, we did see Seth Rollins help Angelo Dawkins to his feet, but Seth also did see out of the corner of his eye Braun Breakker coming in to lay him out, and he got out of the way, leaving Dawkins to take the spear. This is a guy who is trying to earn trust, build trust in the locker room. And after telling the Street Profits the week before, you stay out of my way, I'll stay out of yours, this isn't helping his cause. Guys, where do we go with Seth Rollins? I'm sure we're going to go to Seth Rollins versus Braun Breakker once again at Clash in Italy, and probably and potentially again further down the road. It's not something I need to see dragged out. I think once we need some finality to this. I'm going to be very, very honest. I do believe we need some finality to this already. And I don't care if you have to move Seth to SmackDown. I don't care if you have to move him into another feud. I don't care if Bronson Reed comes back and it's going that way. I don't care if Seth Rollins finds a tag team partner and takes the tag team titles. But we need the finality on this, and we need to actually move Seth Rollins away from the Vision. We know he created it. We know he's going to kill it. But this is where we need to go. We need the finality, at least for now. We go backstage, ladies and gentlemen, and we do see Adam Pearce talking with the original El Grande Americano, as well as Los Americanos Hermanos. He gets interrupted by Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan, and ends up making a match. For the first time outside of AAA, we are going to see Dom Mysterio later in the night defend the AAA Mega Championship against the definitely not Chad Gable original El Grande Americano. Up next, perhaps one of the more intriguing points of interest in the night. We got a Penta promo. And Penta called out Raw newcomer Ethan Page, who has a pinfall victory over your Intercontinental Champion. This, before Ethan Page could get anything out, Rusev interrupts. Oh, no, sorry. Ethan Page had denied Penta's request for a match at Saturday night's main event. But Rusev interrupts. Rusev takes all kinds of credit for their tag team victory last week, which allowed Ethan Page to pick up the pinfall victory over Penta. But Ethan Page then put the blame on Javon Evans, claiming he's barged into Adam Pearce's office and claimed that Rusev couldn't beat him. This, of course, incites Javon Evans. This is now getting to be an interesting dynamic around the Intercontinental title. We've seen Javon Evans versus Ethan Page. We've seen the tag match. But during all of this, we did then see Javon Evans. We saw a brawl break out between the four men, which did lead to us getting Javon Evans versus Rusev. Neither Ethan Page nor Penta stayed at ringside to scout the competition or be available to interfere. And this was a great, great match. Some of us here at Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program are huge fans of Javon Evans. Others are not. I'm indifferent. I think this is a kid that has the energy. He has what it takes. He is connected organically with the crowd, but at the same time, I feel like he is being hot-shotted. Yes, he had a couple of NXT title opportunities. He's had the Intercontinental Championship opportunity, but he's never held NXT gold. How are we going to hotshot him and make him the Intercontinental Champion? And as I've said before, I think he needs a new finisher because we can't just have everybody using a cutter. This was a good, solid match. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, Rusev controlled, used his power, used his agility, used his speed. Of course, Javon Evans used his heart, fought back, crawled back, everything you had to do to keep yourself in the match, eventually picking up the win off of that OG cutter in a position where I actually thought when he was going for it, Rusev was going to push him off, and we were probably going to see Air Javon. Now, in this situation, I was actually glad Javon was able to hit the cutter, Rusev able to take it, because I think had Rusev blocked it, we would have seen Air Javon, and he would have been about 6-7 rows deep, even from the middle of the ring. That was just how much speed and momentum would have been behind this. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I've said it. I do believe that Javon Evans will be your Intercontinental Champion before the year is out. But I think they need to slow him down just a little bit. Maybe humble him just a little bit. So, Rusev, Ethan Page, I put it on you. Humble Javon Evans just a little bit. To an emotional point, again, in the backstage, we see Asuka and Io Sky, and after what we saw at Backlash, in that amazing match, in that match that absolutely stole the show, and everybody's questioning, is Asuka done? We understand that Asuka has potentially returned home to Japan to deal with some personal matters. We saw them hug, and Asuka said, I am glad that I found the person who could fulfill my legacy. I am so proud of you. And we saw Asuka take her bags and leave the arena. This was an emotional moment. And I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, because we are going to hear from Io Sky again a little bit later. It left me wondering, is that the true Asuka, or are we going to see Asuka make her return and do what she does as a heel? Because that's where I was left. That is what I was left with after Backlash and going into Monday Night Raw. I know it's skepticism, it's trust, but it's also the predictability of the industry. It's the way these stories get told, and were we going to replay the same old song and dance? In this case, we didn't. Could it still happen in the future? Yes. Does it happen in the next month? I don't believe so. Does it happen 6 months from now? Well, we're going to have to wait and see. Ladies, the ladies truly, truly deliver each and every week. And let's discuss, as it's been called, the Nostalgia Tour. Your women's tag team champions, Paige and Brie Bella, coming out to answer the challenge of the Judgment Day. Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez had called them out the week before. And we got it again. We got that verbal back and forth between the two. Roxanne even going back to her past saying, do you remember meeting me as a young girl? And all I wanted to do was be you. And then she said, how dare you set the bar so low? Raquel Rodriguez took a shot at Paige's past. We know that Paige has been involved in scandals and issues outside of the ring before that have truly affected her in-ring and her WWE status. And I get that it's part of the story, but this is just one of those things that I don't think needs to happen. Now, this did devolve into a brawl between all four women. And then Liv Morgan attacked from behind, leaving the Judgment Day standing there holding all the gold, and Michael Cole declaring that the Judgment Day wants all the gold. I really, really quite enjoyed this segment, but I am a huge fan of the Judgment Day. I am a huge fan of Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. And I know we've seen the tease, the dissension. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think that we might get that iron sharpens iron match at some point between Roxanne and Liv. We might even get it between Liv and Raquel, or Roxanne and Raquel. And I'm okay with that. I do believe that the Judgment Day is going to be stronger than ever come SummerSlam. Backstage again, we see Jimmy Uso talking with the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Roman asks him, where is Jay? Jimmy says Jay is out in the parking lot awaiting the arrival of Jacob Fatu. Roman says, you're having the guy who is doing the things based on emotion going out there to try and calm down a guy who is out of control because of emotion. Jimmy trying to convince Roman to leave the Jacob Fatu situation alone, forget the acknowledgement ceremony, because that was supposed to be the deal after Backlash. Jacob gets the title shot. If he wins, he's the champion. If he loses, he has to acknowledge Roman. But ROTC states that there is a need for order, and Jacob needs to hold up his end of the deal, or he's gone. Ladies and gentlemen, our match of the night comes up next. As we get the genius of the sky and perhaps the best women's wrestler on the face of this planet, Io Sky taking on the newcomer, Sol Ruka. Ladies, I've said it before. I will say it again. If you are aspiring to be a professional wrestler, if you are training, if you are a younger professional wrestler working on the independents, look no further than Io Sky. And in this case, look no further than the WWE Women's Division, because these women brought it. This was high flying versus high flying, technical versus technical, experience versus youth. And I'm going to say it, holy shnikey, did these two ever deliver. This was back and forth. They were able to counter each other's moves, but it was one counter. One small misstep. Ruka went up for the soul snatcher. She came down, and Io, able to avoid the contact and not walk into it, is able to then roll up Sol with a crucifix and get the pin. This, ladies and gentlemen, was your match of the night. If anything, this was a 5-star women's match. And I'm not a huge Sol Ruka guy. I was not 100% sold on her coming up. And a lot of that has to do with her injury history, because she was never truly able to show what she could do as a champion. I have seen and heard, why are they calling Sol the future when she's 0-2 on the main roster? Have you looked at the caliber of women that Sol Ruka has been in that ring with? She held her own against Liv Morgan in her debut match, non-title. She's come face to face with your women's Intercontinental Champion, Becky Lynch, though the match hasn't happened yet, and held her own on the mic and hit Becky with the Soul Snatcher. And then Io Sky. So you've got three of the absolute best who are already right there. So this is Sol Ruka's litmus test, ladies and gentlemen. She is getting the best quickly, and I don't think she's being hot-shotted. I think this is the right move. You're letting her get those reps. You're letting her get those matches. Show what she can do and build that momentum. The wins are going to come. But this is where they view Sol Ruka. Ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely amazing. And before I forget, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize because I haven't been watching the comments. I want to say a big hello to my boy, Bobby Batito. Thank you for coming in here, my brother. Much appreciated, as always. We quite enjoy having you here, and I thank you for the kind words. He's just gone and liked the video on YouTube, and he always enjoys the show. And now he is saying he quite enjoyed the match between Io Sky and Sol Ruka, and he's interested to see if we get a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Bobby, that would be a great idea, but I think before we can do that, we do need to get that Sol Ruka Becky Lynch one-on-one match. But I like your thinking, and I think we could go to that potentially I'm going to suggest Clash in Italy, and you're really going to showcase your newcomers to the main roster at Clash in Italy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, with the Raw review and then moving into the preview, I am going to show you just how you can help us.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, video games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
And ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. If you have ever wanted your break in podcasting, content creation, or to help us out behind the scenes, hit that join button, email us your credentials, tell us how you can help us, how you believe we can help you. We will sit down as a collective and find the right fit. All of this and so much more at your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, turnbucklestudios.org. Back to Monday Night Raw and another Obafemi Open Challenge. For the previous Monday, we got Otis stepping up to take it, and great move on Otis. We really got to see that new side of Obafemi where he didn't just use his power, though he did, but he used his smarts to hit the fall from grace, or use the ropes to lift Otis up for the fall from grace. But we had Adam Pearce come out and say, nobody wants to face you. This would have been the spot to have Gunther come out, but as we found out, and we will discuss later on in the show, Gunther has gone to SmackDown. So, who was going to step up? Nobody. Bobby Petito saying he still hopes we see Sheamus or Bronson Reed in the future accept the challenge. I would love to see it. And I hope Sheamus is on the mend and returning soon. I hope Bronson's returning soon. But we're just going to have to wait and find out. However, Obafemi was not willing to take no for an answer. So, he went to the back and he found the newest members of the Raw Tag Team Division, Los Garza. And he dragged them out to the ring. One over his shoulder, one he was dragging by the scruff of his neck. And he used them. And I do mean used them. He threw them all over the place. This wound up being a 2-on-1 handicap match. But it was quick, it was short, sweet, and concise. I don't think it was necessary. I really, really don't think this was necessary. Los Garza have struggled. As long as they have been around, they have struggled to truly connect with the audience and really maintain a solid presence in the tag team division. What could Obafemi have done? I don't know. This is a situation. Mr. Best, good evening to you, my friend. And he's saying he likes how everybody thought this was Los Garza saying goodbye, but it really wasn't. No, but I don't think it was necessary. I think this is a situation where you need somebody now to step up and say, hey, you took out Los Garza, members of the Latino community. Whether you get somebody stepping up from AAA, whether you get somebody from the main roster, whether you get a big man from NXT to show up and say, you were the past, I'm the future, let's go, big man. And I'm going to say this, I do think that at some point this year, you are going to see one man who has pinned Obafemi in the past, and I do believe that at some point this year, we will see. And Bobby, yes, a SmackDown wrestler would be great. I would have loved for this to be a Gunther answering this open challenge and really, really be able to test Oba, but we are going to talk about Gunther and big men in just a little while. But I don't think this was needed. I think that this was where you could have had Oba step up and say, okay, well, nobody wants to challenge me. Throw out a challenge. Lay down the challenge and say, okay, I want the Intercontinental Championship. Or I'm calling out Roman Reigns. You could have incensed not only Roman Reigns, you could have incensed a Jacob Fatu. You could have brought him out. This is a situation now where maybe, just maybe, you need a guy who fights on pure emotion. This is where maybe we need a guy like an LA Knight to step up. Bobby, Ilya Dragunov would be an awesome, awesome challenger for that. But maybe this is where we need an LA Knight who was supposed to have a program with Gunther before everything there happened. Let LA Knight step up and take it. I still love your idea of Sheamus or Bronson Reed as well. But let's get somebody who may not be, who really can't, nobody can match Oba physically. But in terms of credibility in the ring, yeah, let's go. LA Knight. Yeah. And then we see, again in the backstage area, we see JD McDonough getting ready to accompany Dom to the ring for his AAA Mega Championship match. But he gets wiped out by Finn Balor. Finn said whatever he said to Dom. And I don't think that story's done, but are we going to go? And does Finn get involved later on in the match? Again, I think Finn Balor, just like Seth Rollins needs the finality with Braun Breaker, I think we need to get the finality between Finn Balor and the Judgment Day. And that, ladies and gentlemen, could we see it? Could we see a guy like Finn Balor team with a guy like Seth Rollins? Two guys who have a history. Two guys who have led factions. Could that be a way for both of them to reestablish some trust in the locker room? I absolutely think we might be onto something there, and I would love to see it. Then you can actually, merge a couple of different storylines. I mean, Finn and Seth versus the Judgment Day versus the Vision in a triple threat tag match? Sign me up. Because you could transition the tag team titles off that. Hell, ladies and gentlemen, you could put the Usos in there. Have the four-way. You've got three different factions and two guys who are coming together to reestablish a level of trust within the locker room. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Make it happen. And of course, if you're going to add the Street Profits, as we will get to again, you've got a 5-team ladder match for the tag team championships for SummerSlam. Right there. Book it now, creative. I got you. Now, our main event match of the night. Dominic Mysterio defending the AAA Mega Championship against the original El Grande Americano. And let's not forget, it was Chad Gable who was having issues and went to Dom Mysterio. It was Chad Gable who was having issues with Luchadors Lucha Libre and really, really needed to know. It was Dom Mysterio who sent Chad Gable to Mexico to learn more and study. We don't know where Chad Gable is. But now it comes back to this. Chad Gable left. El Grande Americano came in. So now, in a roundabout way, all of this is starting over. The dark arts of Lucha Libre and Dominic Mysterio versus the OG El Grande Americano. Ahead of the May 30th mask versus mask between original El Grande Americano and El Grande Americano, the real one. Yes, that's right. There's the original, and then there is El Grande Americano. At AAA's Noche de las Grandes on the 30th. This was a great match. And yes, Dom had control early. But we did see El Grande Americano Original mount a comeback, pick up the pace, take us where we needed to go. We did get interference from El Grande Americano and Los Americanos, which did allow Dom to hit the 619 and pick up the victory to retain the title. Does the winner of the mask versus mask match then move on to face Dom and win? And I think that would make sense. But I'm also wondering, is this a situation where we are going to see both of these men unmasked on May 30th? Backstage, we do see Jackie Redmond catching up with Austin Theory and Logan Paul of the Vision as they are getting ready to leave the arena and go for some steaks. And this is where we find out that next Saturday, or this coming Saturday, May 23rd, Saturday night's main event, it will be the Vision defending those tag team championships against Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, the Street Profits. Ladies and gentlemen, I will cover that. We also did find out that at Saturday night's main event, we are going to see Penta defending the Intercontinental Championship against Ethan Page. I will cover some predictions a little bit later on in the show. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Have you acknowledged your tribal chief? Yes, Roman Reigns made his way to the ring for the acknowledgement ceremony, accompanied to the ring by Jimmy Uso. Jay still not there. Jay still in the locker room awaiting Jacob Fatu's arrival. Oh boy. Roman gets to the ring. Jacob makes his way into the arena. Jay is there trying to talk him down, talk some sense into him. As they get to Gorilla, Jacob lays out Jay with a headbutt, beats him down. Jimmy, as Jacob is on his way to the ring, coming down, he's got his hands up, saying, settle down, settle down. Jacob lays him out too. Jacob then makes his way into the ring, and the brawl just ensues. There was no acknowledgement ceremony. Reigns is able to use a steel chair to lay out Jacob Fatu, but it didn't last long. This is Jacob Fatu, and again, we all know, I don't care if you're Samoan, you never headbutt another Samoan, and this is Jacob Fatu, so you can't really do anything with a steel chair to him. This, again, I think now needs a crescendo. This needs the finality to it. Last man standing, I quit, first blood, tribal combat, ladies and gentlemen. Bobby, Mr. Best saying he found that the Creed brothers have been in AAA, saying he thought they went to thinking they went to Mexico to find Chad Gable. That is a great possibility. I apologize for not seeing that sooner, Mr. Best. But yes, this war with Roman and Jacob resulted in the Tongan death grip and a power bomb through the table. And as everybody was able to do it, yes, security had Jacob pulled off. Jacob was heading back up the ramp. Both the Usos made their way back down. Jacob saw this as they were checking on Roman. He turned around, went back, and put all four of them. Yes, he took the two Usos and Roman Reigns, the bloodline, and put them all through the barricade to close out the show. This was brutal, and I think that this now needs that finality. And I think maybe you see Roman say to Jacob, go back to SmackDown. Go take out Cody. Maybe Roman puts the idea in that it wasn't Drew that took out Jacob. Maybe it was Cody. Maybe this is where we find out that Jacob took himself out to garner the sympathy and build for this. And now he's where he needs to be. But are we going to get this match at Clash in Italy? I don't think so. I think that with Gunther and Cody headlining that show, I don't think you need to do Roman and Fatu at Clash in Italy. I think that is something that you can build on for a little bit further down the road. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be right back again. I want you to actually check out our calendar of programming, and we were going to come back with the Raw preview for the coming week.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday night, we are on call as the Raw Patrol is on duty at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday, we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursdays, we roam the jungle with the Boar's Nest at 9 p.m. Friday, we invite you to come for a ride with the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday, be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later in the day, the Locker Room presents Rasslin Recap delivers at 7 p.m. Always be aware that weekend shows can vary in times as the PLE Patrol, and other watch party streams are always a must-see. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day and watch all of the latest episodes on turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And please do not forget to drop a like, follow, and to subscribe to all of our channels, and when the time is right, all you have to do is tap in.
And ladies and gentlemen, once again, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And that is all of our weekly programming. There is something there for you each and every night of the week. And we want you to meet the team behind those shows. Chris Best, Chris Parrish, Bubba Duke, Logan Thompson, myself, and the Godfather, Carl Carafell. Click on the host section, go to our individual links, get all of our socials, and watch our latest weekly live episodic programming. So, all of that and so much more at your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, turnbucklestudios.org. Tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, we had Backlash Fallout. Now we go to a Saturday night's main event go-home show. And next Monday, a week from tomorrow, we have the Clash in Italy go-home show. So we are in for a busy, busy time. Coming up tomorrow for us, from the Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Kakalaki. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, North Carolina, Flair country, horseman country. Woo! We do have 3 matches, and we are expecting more match announcements tomorrow. We are going to see Brie Bella and Paige defending the women's tag team championships against the Judgment Day, Raquel and Roxanne. Is this the end of the nostalgia tour? Does Nikki Bella make her return to counter off Liv Morgan? Because that's where all of this was going to start originally back at Evolution last summer. And I think that might just be what happens. Does the nostalgia tour, does the team of Scream Mode retain their tag team championships, or do we get the solidified Judgment Day with all the gold? And do we get new tag team champions? Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be an incredible, incredible matchup. I do expect lots of shenanigans, lots of mischief in this matchup. But I am going to do it this way. Ladies and gentlemen, your winners and new tag team champions, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, the Judgment Day. But I also know that I think we might just see or hear from the Irresistible Forces in this match. We'll discuss that when we cover SmackDown. Obafemi's Open Challenge continues. Who is going to step up to Obafemi this week? Again, ladies and gentlemen, if we get a repeat of last week and nobody stepping up, I don't need it. I really don't need it. I think this is where you need somebody from AAA to come in and step up. Maybe you get somebody from NXT coming in to step up. Maybe we get Danhausen coming in and stepping up and cursing Obafemi. And then Obafemi can slip on a banana peel and let Danhausen pick up the victory. There we go. Make it happen. As well, we know one other match, and that is going to be a 6-man tag rematch from a couple of weeks ago, as we will see Los Americanos El Grande Americano Oreo and Bravo take on the original El Grande Americano and Los Americanos Hermanos. Again, building towards that mask versus mask match May 30th. It's going to be very, very intriguing as to how this is all going to play out. As well, likely we're going to hear from Roman Reigns. We're going to hear from The Vision. I'm sure we're going to hear from Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. Becky Lynch. Are we going to get more follow-up on the Becky Lynch Sol Ruca situation? Do we go, as Bobby Batito suggested earlier, to a confrontation between Becky Lynch, Io Sky, and Sol Ruca? A lot of moving parts here, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very intriguing. Are we going to get more turnover? What sort of a build are we going to get towards Saturday night's main event? What other matches could be announced? What other matches can be announced for Clash in Italy? Ladies and gentlemen, the only way to find out the answers to all of those questions is by tuning in tomorrow night, 8 p.m., for the Raw Patrol with Chris Best, myself, and whatever other members of the cast of characters we have here at the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up Monday Night Raw. We are going to be right back to encapsulate SmackDown. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm going to ask you for your patience for a moment as I'm going to tell you about our shop and once again how you can help us.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
A Turnbuckle Affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, videos games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
And ladies and gentlemen, once again, Turnbuckle Studios is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And we do want you to head there. We want you to go to our shop, powered by redbubble.com. Support your favorite shows and your favorite podcasters. Wear what we wear. All of those proceeds come back into our studios to bring you a better experience. As well, while you're there, again, hit the join button. Email us your credentials if you want your break in podcasting content creation or to help behind the scenes, because we can always use that. Tell us how you can help us, how you believe we can help you, and we will figure out things as a collective. All of that and so much more at turnbucklestudios.org. Ladies and gentlemen, I did say we are coming off of one hell of a week. Raw absolutely delivered last week. Lots of intrigue, lots of build. And ladies and gentlemen, SmackDown stepped up their game just as much. As ladies and gentlemen, again, we had the fallout from Backlash. And then, of course, this coming Friday will be the go-home show for Saturday night's main event. And, oh boy, did we ever get a barn burner. As we were at the University of South Kakalaki, the home of the Gamecocks, And we were started off by our United States champion, the man with the lemon pepper steppers, Mr. Trick Williams, accompanied by Little Yachty and the University of South Carolina mascot, Cocky. Maybe a little over the top, but that is Trick Williams for us. Over the top, bright, flashy, but again, the guy delivers. And following in the footsteps of his mentor, and I'm going to do that, his mentor, Carmelo Hayes, he is your United States champion. He cut a promo, of course, because it was a homecoming for him. So, he explained the origin of the lemon pepper steppers, even touting off some restaurants to make the locals happy. Interrupted by The Miz and Kit Wilson, and yet Trick is still technically a heel, though we are going to that babyface turn. This is a part of SmackDown that I did not get to see yet. So Kit Wilson delivered some of his slam poetry. I guess apparently Little Yachty decided to drop some rhymes of his own, because we know that Little Yachty is a rapper. But this, I guess, really didn't need to happen. But we did end up getting a match out of it. But yes, going from the gingerbread man to having the mascot for the university team, it's a little bit excessive. Trick, drop the characters. You don't need Little Yachty. Trick, do you, buddy. You don't need them. Okay? But we did get The Miz versus Trick Williams to open the matches. But again, I didn't see this match. I cannot speak too much on it. I'm just going off of the review that I've got here in front of me. Miz did hit a skull-crushing finale, but Trick kicked out. And, I mean, if you're building Trick Williams to be this new force, and he is a force, you need to do that. But you're trying to play too much on the Danhausen curse for The Miz and Kit Wilson. That needs to end as well. We got our finality at Backlash with it. You can move Danhausen away from The Miz and Kit Wilson. Trick did hit the trick shot, picked up the win. No surprise there. Trick has not lost a match on the main roster yet. And maybe that is something that is needed. It doesn't need to be a U.S. Championship match. We know that the U.S. Championship was not defended. But guys, yes, The Miz is that guy now. He is that locker room leader. He is the first guy every newcomer is going to get. Trick Williams is no longer a newcomer and doesn't need to go after The Miz, doesn't need to be facing him and Kit Wilson. We need to do better for The Miz and Kit Wilson. I love Mike. I love Kit. But now they have just become, and I've referred to this for guys like Penta, guys like Phoenix, they are now enhancement talents with an entrance. And don't get me wrong, I know that The Miz has been around for 20 years and now it is his time to give back. He is getting his flowers, but his work is still awesome and speaks for itself. And we need to do better for The Miz. we did have another women's tag team championship match. This is the first of 3 defenses in 8 days for those women's tag team championships. So, do we get new champions coming out of SmackDown? Kiana James and Julia teaming up to take on the team of Scream Mode, Paige and Brie Bella. And ladies and gentlemen, this was a match. As has always been the case, Brie is still light years ahead of her sister Nikki in the ring. A young, hungry Julia, a young, hungry Kiana James. This is very, very intriguing. Kiana James, since her return and her really her first impression of us since returning to the ring in the Royal Rumble, where she is showing that power, that strength, and that in-ring psychology, that calculated, measured attack. I absolutely love it. This was a great, great match. Back and forth. Paige did pick up the Rampage DDT on Kiana James for the win. And I'm not ready for Kiana James and Julia again to break up. But we also heard from the Irresistible Forces, Nia Jax and Lash Legend, before the match, because they are getting their title rematch, saying, you stole those titles from us, and we're getting our rematch at Saturday night's main event. This is why I wonder if we are going to see them on Monday involved in that tag team championship match, because they want to beat the team that took the titles from them, or if they just don't care. And are we going to maybe get additions to this tag team championship match? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm even going to go so far as to say, do we maybe get a tag team championship rematch and a WrestleMania rematch with the Irresistible Forces versus Paige and Brie versus Bayley and Lyra? And then you've just got the Judgment Day in there. Very, very intriguing developments. And we don't know, because we have that tag team championship match tomorrow night on Raw. Will it be Paige and Brie that they're defending against? We don't know. Next up, we hear from Cody Rhodes, who comes out to the ring, sets up a table and chairs to get a contract signed between him and Gunther. And it didn't take long for Gunther to show up. This was a very, very interesting segment. And it set up a very intriguing matchup later in the night. Gunther blaming Cody for destroying a lot of setup and a lot of effort for his SmackDown deal, and asked for Cody to be professional, address him with respect, and say please. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the ring general is asking our world champion to use his manners. That's right. That's where we are going. This is where things get interesting because Gunther hadn't even made it to the ring yet. And Royce Keys, who has been booked solidly, and ladies and gentlemen, I have been impressed with what this man has done since joining the WWE. So much better. So able to showcase so much more than what he was able to in AEW. And I love this for Royce. But he comes out, stares down Gunther at the top of the ramp, gets into the ring, and says, if Gunther ain't going to sign the contract, I will. Cody tells him, look, I know we're friends. I'm not hard to find, but I'm hard to beat. As Royce went to sign the contract, Gunther slid into the ring to stop him, which prompted Nick Aldis to come out and make Royce Keys versus Gunther in a number one contenders match for the night. Wow. I said I wanted Gunther to face some big men. I wanted Gunther to answer Obafemi's open challenge, but I said it earlier, we would talk about Gunther and big men, and we are going to get Gunther and Royce Keys. Wow. On to what I personally considered the match of the night. Two young, hungry lions. A guy who missed WrestleMania because he lost the U.S. Championship, and a guy who did get married very recently and has been away from TV, whether it was because of the wedding and the honeymoon. Carmelo Hayes. Trick Williams' mentor and former U.S. champion. Yes, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to put it right out there. Versus the newcomer, Ricky Saints. For me, ladies and gentlemen, this was my match of the night. But I wonder if there could be more between these two. This was a solid match. Again, Ricky more the technical guy, but Mello can do technical. Mello more the high flyer, but Ricky can do some high flying himself. This was not a catch as catch can. This was... I'm gonna compare it to a lightweight or a middleweight boxing match. And ladies and gentlemen, this was sort of that stick and move. This wasn't a catch as catch can, but this was a great back and forth match. First time these two men have ever shared a ring in their careers. But they looked solid. They looked like... Yes, they are both seasoned professionals, but they look like they've done this a million times over. This was a case of, yes, it was a heel versus a baby face, but the baby face used some heel tactics, yada, yada, yada. That's why I'm wondering if there could be more. Ricky Saints did get caught by the ref trying to use the ropes to gain a pin, but he had his feet up on the top rope. That was what gave it away. Mello able to turn it around, gets his feet on the bottom ropes and steals the pinfall, using those heel tactics to pick up the win. And again, leading me to wonder if there could be more. A great match, ladies and gentlemen. I am excited about this, and I am excited about these two. And ladies and gentlemen, we need to build some contenders. for the U.S. Championship. I'd love to see it, Mello. I want to see Ricky Saints versus Trick. Again, I'd love to see it. Saints and Dragunov. There is a lot we can do. Can we get one of these guys into maybe get into Sami Zayn's grill too? I don't know. We will have to wait and see it. Backstage, we see Shinsuke Nakamura trying to talk to Tama Tonga, but Tama Tonga attacks from behind and puts him through a table. As we are getting ready then for a battle of big men, the first of two big man battles here on Raw. Tama Tonga one-on-one with Damian Priest. And much like the week before when Priest took on Tama Tonga and jumped him from behind, Tama did the same thing and gets the upper hand to open this match. Only angering the big man. And Tama is no small man himself. R-Truth was not medically cleared and unable to be at ringside for this match and did not get involved. It was supposed to be a tag team match with Tama Tonga and R-Truth included, so I'm guessing it was supposed to be for the tag team titles. And I think we probably would have seen new tag team champions, though I'm not ready for it. We saw the Razor's Edge. We saw this back and forth, hard hitting. We saw Tama use a sleeper hold as a great counter. Very, very physical match. And that is what I love about big men. What I need, though, is a big man who now you don't need the pin. I want to start seeing somebody come in and be able to do things on a KO or a TKO. And yes, no, ladies and gentlemen, please pardon the pun there. I realize the TKO Enterprises thing. I want somebody that is able to do that. Damian Priest was able to hit the South of Heaven chokeslam and pick up the win. No interference from anybody during the match, but we did see Tama Tonga and Solo show up after the match to beat down Damian Priest. So, where are we going? Is that going to be another match at Saturday night's main event? Do we go to that match at Clash in Italy? We know that we have to wait for R-Truth to be cleared, but I do think that match is going to come up sooner than later, and I think we will find out this coming Friday. Ladies, if I've said it once, I will say it again. If you are aspiring or training to be a professional wrestler, watch the hottest division in wrestling today, and I am talking about the WWE Women's Division. We had Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss teaming up to take on Michin and BFAB. Really, really interesting because you have to wonder if Michin and BFAB get the win, does that vault them up in the tag team championship rankings? Or is it just a token victory for them? We did see Jade Cargill accompany them. Jade was on the mic, interrupted by Charlotte saying, we have been doing this dance for a few years now. And Charlotte told Jade, go sit at ringside, take some notes. And you had some real experience in there because let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, Michin is a very accomplished women's wrestler in her own right. She's just always been It's always just been circumstantial booking for her in WWE. But this was a great, great match. And were we going to see Rhea Ripley because of what had happened the previous week, or was Rhea Ripley nursing her injuries? Well, we did find out. Yes, BFAB did her best, but you cannot replace the years of experience on the other three. And I'm not going to put this on BFAB because she did everything that she could to help this match along. Jade did cause a disqualification by pulling Alexa Bliss out of the ring and attacking her. We do get that face-to-face again between Flair and Jade when everyone else had been taken out. So yes, Charlotte and Alexa won by disqualification. What was interesting was what we heard afterwards. Charlotte saying, Alexa, I'm trying to be a good team player here. But where was Rhea? Where was Rhea when we needed her in this situation? And Alexa said, you know what? I'm going to let her know that she owes us one. And it was made. We did find out later in the night, and we will cover it in just a little while. We are going to see a 6-woman tag as Rhea Ripley teams with Charlotte and Alexa against Jade, BFAB, and Michin at Saturday night's main event. We also are going to find out, because Jade did suggest that at Clash in Italy, she is going to get her women's championship back from Rhea Ripley. So we'll find that out this coming week. Maybe the two most down on their luck performers were seen sitting together. Well, one sitting there griping and one catatonic, as we saw Sami Zayn talking to Johnny Gargano. Zayn talked about entitlement. We did hear Candice LeRae come up and say, you know what? Entitlement. I'm entitled to a husband who gets in the ring and wrestles. I'm entitled to a husband who can get up on his own and isn't just going to lounge around, essentially. Would this be a good pairing for Johnny Gargano and Sami Zayn? Or would Sami Zayn maybe returning to the MFTs help and working with his boy, his dog, Solo Sikoa? Ladies and gentlemen, before we cover our main event, I am once again going to tell you about our shop.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
And ladies and gentlemen, once again, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. Please head over to our redbubble.com powered shop. Support your favorite shows and your favorite podcasters. Wear what we wear. All of those proceeds come back into our studios to bring you a better experience. All of this and so much more, turnbucklestudios.org. Our main event of the night. I've wanted Gunther to work with some big men instead of working with all of these underdogs. And I'm hoping that this career killer thing is behind him. Gunther and Royce Keys. I've said it earlier. I love what they are doing with Royce Keys. I'm loving his booking. He's not being made to just look like a bodyguard for somebody or having to go in and be just a Goldberg type of character as he was in AEW. And although Gunther is a big man, he is tall, he is powerful, but Keys just has him on the muscle. And this was just pure brutality. Honestly, I thought we could have had a ring-breaking superplex in this match. And we had seen Solo Sikoa trying to get into the head of Royce Keys before the show or before the match. Royce was able to absorb, yes, ladies and gentlemen, absorb Gunther's chops. We saw them go back and forth. Literally, neither man could knock the other down on shoulder tackles. They were knocking them into the ropes. It was back and forth. Gunther did eventually get through with the chops, but Royce Keys can get you with those clotheslines as he literally locked Gunther in and was clotheslining him front and back at the same time, keeping Gunther essentially standing unconscious. However, it was Solo Sikoa who came down and was doing the babyface thing, cheering on Royce Keys, trying to get him motivated, get him up at one point. And as Keys got up, Solo slid a chair into the ring saying, use it on him, use it on him. Royce, doing the smart thing, turns and throws the chair back in Solo's face. And after countering 2 or 3 sleeper holds earlier in the match, eventually gave to this sleeper hold, allowing Gunther to pick up the win, become the #1 contender, and get the title match at Clash in Italy. So, are we going to go to a Royce Keys versus Solo Sikoa match? Again, a powerhouse versus powerhouse, enforcer versus enforcer type of thing. And I think that would make for a great Saturday night's main event match. It would give Royce Keys his first true big event exposure, because we did see him in the Royal Rumble, but we didn't see him at Mania. We haven't seen him truly on a PLE yet with a one-on-one match. This would give Royce that big fight feel. Maybe get Solo back into that type of big fight type of thing that we need to see from him. And for the MFTs, since they did become the dominant faction on SmackDown, and then we lost the Wyatts, and then we did lose 2 members of the family tree. We did see Cody Rhodes come back out afterwards and hit Gunther with the Crossroads to make sure then that everything was ready for Clash in Italy. Ladies and gentlemen, SmackDown once again delivered as well. We covered Raw. This coming Friday, we don't know a whole lot, but we do know one match. We are going to get Tama Tonga versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Is this a situation? Do we finally see Tama Tonga break? Do we see Tama Tonga align with Shinsuke? Do we see a full-blood reunion of the MFTs? Do we see Tema and Tala maybe break away from Solo? Does Royce Keys have Shinsuke's back in this match? There are a lot of moving parts. I'm going to guess we're going to hear from Cody Rhodes. We're going to hear from Gunther. Do we see the contract get signed? Or is that something that now is just done? We know that the match is made because Gunther won the #1 contenders match. Do we hear from Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss? I'm sure we're going to hear from Jade and her minions. A lot to look forward to. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, the only way to find out everything that happens on SmackDown is to tune in on Friday nights at 8 p.m. with the SmackDown Security Detail with Chris Best, Chris Parrish, myself, and whatever other wacky guests choose to join us. Ladies and gentlemen, one time I'm going to show you our calendar, and then we are going to look at Saturday night's main event and our predictions for that.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday night, we are on call as the Raw Patrol is on duty at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday, we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursdays, we roam the jungle with the Boar's Nest at 9 p.m. Friday, we invite you to come for a ride with the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday, be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later in the day, the Locker Room presents Rasslin Recap delivers at 7 p.m. Always be aware that weekend shows can vary in times, as the PLE Patrol and other watch party streams are always a must-see. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day, and watch all of the latest episodes on turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And please do not forget to drop a like, follow, and to subscribe to all of our channels, and when the time is right, all you have to do is tap in.
And ladies and gentlemen, once again, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. Meet the team behind each and every one of the shows here that you just saw listed on our calendar, as there is something for you each and every night of the week. Chris Best, Chris Parrish, Bubba Duke, Logan Thompson, myself, and the Godfather, Carl Carafel. Click on each of our individual links under the host section to get all of our socials and watch our latest weekly live episodic programming. All of that and so much more, turnbucklestudios.org. Saturday night's main event coming up Saturday night, May 23rd. We have 3 matches announced. Will there be a 4th, or are we going to get some additions? Let's start with Penta and Ethan Page for the Intercontinental Championship. Ethan Page is still relatively new and is going to be a huge star. I love the addition of him to Monday Night Raw. Is it too early to put the belt on him? I am going to say in this situation, yes. We saw him come in, make that impact immediately in NXT, and win the title 6 weeks in. We've seen him win the North American Championship. We know what he can do carrying gold. But I do think it's a little bit too early, but I do not think that Penta is going to retain clean. I think that this is going to break down. I think we are going to have some interference from Rusev, who's had issues ongoing with Penta, Javon Evans, maybe others. I think that this is going to be something that ends in a disqualification, but I think that this is going to be a hell of a match. I'm even going to say it that maybe Ethan Page wins the match by DQ or countout, earning himself another opportunity. But, ladies and gentlemen, give me Penta to retain the Intercontinental Championship. we have a lot of moving parts for this next match. I'm going to go to the Women's Tag Team Championships. Nia Jax and Lash Legend versus currently Paige and Brie Bella, as they want that matchup against the team that took the titles from them. We know that Paige and Brie just defended their titles 2 nights ago on SmackDown. They're defending their titles again tomorrow night on Raw. Is there going to be another match added next Friday where they're going to defend the tag titles again? It's really, really hard to say. I know I've already said it. Give me Paige and Brie to retain, give me new tag team champions on Monday. But Nia and Lash could preserve their opportunity by costing the Judgment Day. You could get Bayley and Lyra involved. There are too many moving parts on all of this. But I am going to go with the Judgment Day defending at Saturday night's main event and retaining the tag team championships. On to the World Tag Team Championships, as the Street Profits will take on the Vision, Logan Paul and Austin Theory. And again, I think that this match is going to go the way of the Vision. By disqualification, I think they are going to hang on because Seth Rollins is going to get involved. Braun Breaker is going to get involved. We could potentially see the return of Bronson Reed. There are, again, just too many moving parts. And like I said, I think we can book this for a long term and really, really build a story around those tag team titles. So I do see the Vision retaining. The Street Profits are hungry. They haven't been around for a while. And now it might be time to get them some gold. I just don't think Saturday night is the time. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, 6-woman tag. Jade, B-Fab, and Michin versus Charlotte, Alexa, and Rhea. I think that this is going to truly, truly devolve, especially between Charlotte and Rhea. So give me Jade, B-Fab, and Michin to win that match. We are going to see Jade get that title match at Clash in Italy. But I think that Charlotte is going to make her presence felt in that match. Potentially save the championship for Rhea while building to a match with either Jade or Rhea herself for the championship. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in for a wild, wild week of wrestling here yet again. We have 2 more go-home shows for Saturday night's main event. And then the following week, we are setting the final builds for Clash in Italy. This is a very, very busy month, ladies and gentlemen. From here on out, please remember that the world is better with you in it. From all of us here at the Locker Room and Turnbuckle Studios, to those of you out there wherever you are, good night, good luck, I'm out.
In the locker room, a guy you'll find loves bad hockey, teams can't deny. His best friend is just a hand so true, loyal until his friend goes number 2. During the heat of the game, it's clear he's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a wink and a cheer.